motion chapter. Already we have completed tissue chapter, and along with the exercise we have completed that part. So next topic we are going to start with motion. One more bio topic we have, that is diversity, that we will see after this chapter. Okay, so in the motion chapter we are discussing what do you mean by a uniform motion, what do you mean by non-uniform motion, what is motion, what is rest. Then after that the terms to describe the motion, we are using some terms like what is the distance, what is displacement, what is velocity, speed, acceleration. Like this we are using some terms here, that also we are going to see in the today's class. Okay, so let us discuss one by one here. What do you mean by motion? See here, an object is said to be in motion when its position changes with time. So when we say that the bodies are in motion, when the bodies are changing its position with respect to time. Okay, so for example, if you are standing, if you assume that in a classroom, if a teacher is standing in front of you, with respect to you, the teacher is at rest position. But with respect to the earth, she or he, the teacher is in motion. Why? Because here the earth is continuously, it is rotating, continuously it is rotating. Therefore, what we can say here, with respect to the earth, the teacher or the teacher is moving here. They are in motion. Here, the position of the body is changing with respect to time. It is called as motion. Similarly, we can define rest also. If the position of the body is not changing with respect to the time and position, then it is said to be rest. Then it is said to be rest here. Okay. We say this motion and rest are relative terms ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. So motion ಮತ್ತೆ rest ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು relative terms ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ here motion ಯಾವಾಗ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅವಾಗ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವಾಗ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅವಾಗ ಮೋಷನ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಈಗ ನೀವು ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್, ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಮೋಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ that is train, it looks like in motion. But the person who is standing outside of the train, he is observing the tree, for him it appears to be at rest. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗತ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, due to the person who is in motion, with respect to him the trees appears to be in motion. Due to the person who is standing outside of that, for him it appears to be at rest. Therefore, we call this motion and rest are relative terms. Okay, next point you ನೋಡಬಹುದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ. We describe the location of an object by specifying a reference point. Motion is relative. The total path covered by an object is said to be the distance traveled by it. So illenantandre we are saying that motion is relative. ಇಲ್ಲೇನು ಟೋಟಲ್ ಪಾತ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಫ್ ದ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕವರಿಂಗ್ some path length, that is called as what? Distance traveled by the body. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, to describe the motion we need to specify some terms. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ object is moving fast, object is moving slow. So with respect to other object we compare that time we need to specify it with some words here. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, then velocity, speed, acceleration, these all terms we use in physics here. Okay, so here the shortest path or the distance measured from the initial to the final position of an object is known as what? Displacement. It is known as displacement. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ the body whatever it is covering the path. ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಸ್ಕೂಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಪಾತ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಏನು ನೀವು ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಮೇನ್ ರೋಡ್ ಇಂದ ನೀವು ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಸಮ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ಸ್, ಸೊ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಕಟ್ ರೋಡ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ವೆನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ shortcuts here, that time we call it as what? Displacement. So here we have that is distance and displacement. The first two terms related to the motion, that is distance and displacement. Distance ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಇಲ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ the total path length covered by the body is called as distance. Displacement ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ that is the shortest distance between the initial and the final position is known as displacement. ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ್ದಪ್ಪ, that is distance and displacement. We can see one example here. Okay, 1 minute. So I'll just show you with the example how we can understand this. We can assume one diagram. Based on that, we can specify this. So, you will note. Okay, so here I'll just draw and show you. See, for example, consider one triangular track. So idu triangular track anta consider ಮಾಡಿ A B C. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು 2 ಮೀಟರ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ, ಇದು 3 ಮೀಟರ್ ಅಂತ, ಇದನ್ನ 5 ಮೀಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಈಗ ಏನಾಗತ್ತಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, see here they will ask you question, what is the distance traveled and what is the displacement of the body ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ನೋಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನು, the body will come from A to B, B to C, then C to A. This is distance traveled. What is displacement? The body will come from A to C directly or from C to A directly. ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, that is A. C ಅನ್ನ ಫೈನಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ವೇದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದಪ್ಪ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು A ದಿಂದ B ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು, B ದಿಂದ C ಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಇದೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, distance traveled by the body agate. So we have shortcut also, directly from A to C we can come here. So this we will take it as 4, right? So now you can see here students, that is distance antandre it becomes 2 plus 3 andre A to B, B to C, that is total path length covered by the body. adanna ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ, A to C means initial point final point ಗೆ direct ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, that is the displacement is 4 here. ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? So this is what the difference between distance and displacement. We can assume one more difference here. So ಇದು question ಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಈ question ಅನ್ನ. ಅದು ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, if the object is moving in a circular path, if the object is moving in a circular path, what is the distance and displacement of the body? See, ಇಲ್ಲೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಂತ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡಿ, that is a person is doing 400 meter running here. So 400 meter running ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ see ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ, this will be your his initial point. He will travel, he will come to the same point, he will come to the same point. So here the initial point and the final point is same. So what is our displacement? Displacement is nothing but what? It is the distance or the difference between initial and final path. Final ಮತ್ತೆ initial point same ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ದು displacement ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, displacement 0 ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. What will be the distance traveled by the body? Distance traveled by the body will be c. ಇದೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಇದೆ. This is nothing but what? Circumference of the circle ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು circumference of the circle ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. What is the formula for circumference of the circle? It is 2 pi r. Circumference of the circle is given by 2 pi r. So this is how the body is covering the distance and displacement is 0. How the question will be asked here is, what is the displacement of the body? The body covers one circular path. It will be 0. What is the distance traveled by the body? It will be 2 pi r. ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಸೊ ನೀವು ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫೈನಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೋಡಿ. ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಟು ಯು. ಅಂಡ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ದೇ ಮೇ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಯು ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್, ರೈಟ್ ದಿ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಸನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಸನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬರೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಅವಾಗ ನೀವ್ ಏನ್ ಬರಿಬೋದಪ್ಪ? ಸಿ, one thing you can write the definition. Definitions ಬರಿಬಹುದು ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ. That is, distance is what? It is the actual path length covered by the body is called as distance. It is the actual path length covered by the body is called as distance. Next, what is displacement? Displacement is nothing but it is the shortest distance between the initial point and the final point. Next we can write the unit of distance and displacement. The unit of distance is meter. Unit of distance is meter ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. What is the unit of displacement? Displacement ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು meter ಇಂದಾನೆ measure ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. The unit of distance and displacement both it is same. It is meter. It is meters. Okay. Next is the distance value is always positive. Distance value positive ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Displacement value, it may be positive, it may be negative, it may be zero also. So positive ಅಂತೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವ ತರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಯಾವ ತರ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, if the body is moving in the same direction ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ x axis ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. If it is going back in the reverse direction, then direction ನಾವು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ? Negative displacement. Zero displacement to example we have seen just now. So this is regarding distance and displacement. And here one more point we can remember. So in multiple choice questions or in the fill in the blanks, they will ask this question. That is here the distance is always dash then displacement. So ಇದು repeatedly ಕೇಳಿರೋ ಕ್ವಶನ್. ಇಲ್ಲೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ distance is always much, the distance is greater than or equal to displacement. ಯಾವಾಗೂನು distance ಏನಿದೆ displacement ಗಿಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So these points you remember here. Okay, this is regarding distance and displacement. So before going to proceed with the next definition, I want to tell you one definition here, that is called as scalar vector quantity. ಹೌದಾ? ಕೇಳಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ರು ಕೇಳಿರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲೇನು ಸ್ಕೇಲಾರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ತುಂಬಾ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಲೈಕ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಸ್ಪೀಡ್, ಎವರೇಜ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್, ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ, ಫೋರ್ಸ್, ಪವರ್, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತರ many terms we are using in physics. ಇದು terms ಅನ್ನ ನಾವೇನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್? That is, we are calling that physical quantity. Physical quantity ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನು? ಫಿಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವ್ ಏನೇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್, ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್, ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಪವರ್, ವರ್ಕ್ ಡನ್, ಎನರ್ಜಿ, ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಟೂ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಕ್ಯಾಟಗರಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. One is called as scalar quantity anta, and one more is called as vector quantity. Okay. So to understand this chapter, we require scalar and vector. So one we have that is called as scalar. So one is called as scalar quantity and one more is called as vector quantity. Here scalar quantity means what? The quantity which has only magnitude. Quantity which has only magnitude is called as scalar quantity, and the quantities which has both magnitude and direction, which has both magnitude and direction, is called as vector quantity. So scalar quantity, the quantities are having only magnitude is called as scalar. The quantities which is having both magnitude and direction is called as vector quantity. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಕೇಲಾರ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ನೋಡಬಹುದು, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮಾಸ್. ಸೊ ನೀವೀಗ ಶಾಪಿಗೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ we will just say that 10 kg of rice, 12 kg of sugar. We just specify the number here. We just specify the number. We don't go for the units. Sorry, direction. Now ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ towards east, towards west, north ಅಂತ ನಾವೇನ್ direction specify ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಆ ತರ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಸ್ಕೇಲಾರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಟೈಮ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಟೈಮ್ 9 o'clock, 9 PM, 9 AM ಅಂತ ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. We don't specify any direction here. right? So such quantities are called as what? Scalar quantities. Next one we have the vector quantities. Vector quantities ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎರಡು ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್. ಈಗ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಬಾಡಿ ಮೇಲೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಚ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ as what? Vector quantities. So just now we discussed about distance and displacement. ಈಗಷ್ಟೇ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಎದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾವು ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೋತೀವಿ, ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೋತೀವಿ, ದೆನ್ ಝೀರೋ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ, ಹೌದಾ? So therefore the displacement is called as vector quantity. Displacement is called as vector quantity. And scalar quantity yaudilli? Scalar quantity is mass, time, length. Then now scalar quantity anta helabodu. I hope the definition of scalar and vector quantity is clear to you, so that further whatever terms we will study in physics, we can differentiate into scalar and vectors. Okay, see the next one. Uniform motion anta helidare illi. Uniform motion andre enu? Very simple. When an object covers equal distance in equal interval of time, it is said to be in uniform motion. Yavaga equal distance matte equal time cover ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, that is called as what? Uniform motion. Non uniform motion andre nodi, an object covers unequal distances in equal interval of time. Unequal distances in equal interval of time ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವೀಗ the vehicles are moving in a traffic. So traffic ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ vehicles ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅವಾಗ ನೀವು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನೀವು 1 hour ಅಂತ ಅಥವಾ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ 10 minutes ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿ. So in first 10 minutes what distance it is covering, in the next 10 minutes the distance covered is not equal or not same because of the traffic. So this is example for what? Non-uniform motion. If the body is covering equal distance in equal interval of time, it is called as uniform motion. If it is covering equal distance in unequal distance in equal interval of time, it is called as non-uniform motion. So idu kelvondu textbook alli non-uniform motion they will give it like this also, aita yav tara antandre equal distance matte unequal time anta kuda kodtare kelvondu. So in your textbook, we have this definition only. You can write the same definition. Next definition is speed. So what do you mean by speed here? The distance traveled by an object in unit time is referred to as speed. So ಈಗ ಇಷ್ಟವರೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಈಗ ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕವರ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಬಾಡಿ ವಿತ್ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? That is the distance traveled by the body per unit time. It is called as what? Speed. It is called as speed, and the unit is meter per second. The unit is meter per second. Next one we have the average speed. So what is average speed here? For non-uniform motion. Non-uniform motion only, the total distance traveled to the total time taken. ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವೀಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ನಾನ್ ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮೋಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಬಾಡಿ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ 5 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕವರಿಂಗ್ 6 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್, ದೆನ್ 5.5, ದೆನ್ 4.5, ಈ ತರ ಅನ್ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ 1 hour ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಬಾಡಿ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ 4.5 ಪ್ಲಸ್ 5.5, 6 divided by total time taken, that is 1 hour. 1 hour ಅನ್ನ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಎವರೇಜ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎವರೇಜ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್? ದ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಬಾಡಿ ಟು ದ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟೇಕನ್. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸಮ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಅಟ್ ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ದಟ್. Next ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, velocity. So what is velocity here students? Velocity is the speed of an object moving in definite direction. So velocity antandrenu, when the object is moving with some different velocities. Athwa, if you assume that the object is moving with initial velocity u anta tagotare. Initial velocity na ನಾವು u ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Final velocity na ನಾವು v ಅಂತ consider ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Okay, the average velocity is taken as v plus u divided by 2. It is taken as v plus u divided by 2. So that is what the average velocity. ಬರೀ ನೀವು velocity define ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನ ಈ ತರನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Displacement with respect to time. The displacement of the body with respect to time, it is called as velocity. The SI unit is taken as meter per second. Meter per second ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಯ್ತಾ? Next we have, here you can see the expression how we are writing that. Initial velocity is u, final velocity is v, then the average velocity is given by u plus v divided by 2. The next one we have acceleration here. What is acceleration? The change in velocity of an object per unit time. Change in velocity of an object per unit time, it is called as acceleration. The acceleration A is equal to v minus u divided by t. It is v minus u divided by t here. This is called as what? Acceleration. The rate of change of velocity. So change in velocity na yav tara anta baritare? Final velocity minus initial velocity with respect to time. Then what is the SI unit here? The SI unit of acceleration is meter per second square. So now ಇಲ್ಲಿ distance ದ್ದು unit ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? meter ಅಂತ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Distance ಮತ್ತೆ displacement ಅದು. ಆಯ್ತಾ? Speed ಮತ್ತೆ velocity ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? meter per second ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Acceleration ಇದು meter per second square ಅಂತ ನಾವು consider ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. Right? The next concept here we have, that is the graphical representation of motion. See here students, next we have the graphical representation of motion. What is this graphical representation of motion? ನೀವೀಗ ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, that is cricket matches are going on, or else you might have seen some other cricket matches also. So ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾವು ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಆವಾಗ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೋಡಬಹುದು. ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. So what is the meaning of that graph here? The graph meaning is the run rate of that particular batsman in that particular over that they will be displaying. So that is the meaning of that graph, whatever they are displaying here. Okay, in the same way in physics also we have some graphs, so which describe the motion of a body. So idralli ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೋಡಬಹುದು. Here you can see that the first one we have the distance time graph. See this. In this distance time graph, you can see that the time is taken along x-axis and the distance is taken along y-axis. You will note ಹೌದಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, first graph ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಒಂದು straight line ಅನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, which is passing through the origin here, which means that the speed what you are calculating, it is uniform speed. So ನಿಮ್ದೇನಾದ್ರೂ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಇದ್ದು ಅವ್ರೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, that is time taken with respect to distance traveled, we will get a straight line passing through the origin. ಹೌದಾ? ಇದೇನ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ನೀವು ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ, ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವಲ್ ಕೂಡ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. For example, first 10 minutes 2 kilometers, next 10 minutes 2 kilometers, next 2 kilometers again in 10 minutes, means the time interval and the distance covered, if you are maintaining properly, then It is nothing but uniform speed, and the graph you can see the first figure. Then the second one, non-uniform speed. See here, non-uniform speed. It is distance and time. Here also you can see the nature of the graph. It is little bit curved. So idu curve antandre enagutte illi distance traveled matte nimdu time taken, they are not equal. They are not equal here. That is the meaning of that graph. Third one. So third one we have for the object which are in rest. So illenagutte nodi antandre, now nature of the line or the graph you can see it is a parallel to the x-axis ಅಥವಾ time axis ಗೆ parallel ಇದೆ. ಏನಿದ್ರ meaning ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ the object is at stationary, means the object is not moving. Object is not moving, stationary ಆಗಿದೆ ಅದು. ಅದು ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, third figure. When it is uniform speed passing through the center, when it is non-uniform speed it is just a curve. When it is the object is at rest, the line is parallel to the x-axis. The line is parallel to the x-axis. So this is regarding the distance time graph. Okay. So similarly we can have here velocity time graph, students. Still nodi velocity time graph. So distance time graph alli enittu time is along x-axis, distance is along y-axis. Velocity time graph alli enagutte time is along x-axis, velocity is along y-axis. Always the time it is taken along the x-axis here. Okay, now you can see here first one, the line is passing through the graph, or the line is passing through the center origin through pass ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಲರೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ನಾನ್ ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಲರೇಷನ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾನ್ ಯೂನಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಲರೇಷನ್. Then the third one is there is no acceleration, the body is moving with uniform motion. The body is moving with uniform motion, right? Understood, students? So this is regarding the nature of the graph. Then the last part of the topic we have, that is the bodies which are moving with ನಾವೇನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದೆ ಸೇಮ್ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಡೆರಿವೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೋಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನೇನ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ಮೋಷನ್, ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ರೆಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ನೋಡಿ. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ why motion and rest are called as relative terms here, because here one physical quantity like motion antandrenu, the body is changing its position with respect to time. ಹೌದಾ? ಮತ್ತೆ rest ಅಂತಂದ್ರೇನು, when the body is not changing its position with respect to time is called as rest. So the absence of motion is rest, the absence of rest is motion. Therefore they are called as relative terms. Here. Next one, the shortest path is called as what? Distance. Andre the total path length covered by the body is called as distance. Then displacement is what? It is the difference between the initial and the final point. It is the difference between the initial and the final point. It is called as displacement. Next we have uniform motion. So what is uniform motion here? When an object covers equal distances in equal interval of time, it is said to be in uniform motion. Then the next one, speed. Non-uniform motion andre nodidvi, equal distance, unequal distance and equal interval of time, it is called as non-uniform motion. Then speed antandre enappa, that is the distance traveled by an object in unit time is called as speed. Average speed is what? The total distance traveled to the total time taken. It is called as average speed. Then velocity. Velocity is taken as what? Initial velocity, final velocity ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. In the beginning of the journey, it is taken as initial velocity, and at the end, it is taken as final velocity. Okay. So here, velocity, the unit is meter per second. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು average velocity ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. Average ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ adding 2 and divided by 2. So similarly, acceleration is what? The rate of change of velocity. ಅಂದ್ರೆ velocity change in velocity ತಗೊಂತಾರೆ. Change in velocity ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. And the SI unit is taken as meter per second square. Then we have discussed about the graphical representation. So the graphical representation for uniform, non-uniform speed, and the body is in stationary. We saw the nature of graph. Similarly, for velocity time graph also we can see here. I hope it is clear to you, students. So in the next class, let us continue with the derivation part and the exercise. Thank you.